All right. Well, it's 1:03. I guess we can kind of slowly get started. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. So today the theme here is how to do various things efficiently. Um, so maybe there's things you know how to do, but maybe there's a faster way that you didn't know about. I think that's the purpose of having training like this, because I think there's some things on this list I might not know the best way to do. So I might ask for more help during this one, but with no formal training, you just kind of figure out how to do things on your own, and maybe somebody has a better way. So we're going to go through some of the basic things like everybody might do teaching a course in MOER, and we're going to talk about maybe some shortcuts or faster ways that maybe you didn't know about. So how do you turn off video? You just scroll down to the bottom, and there should be a button that looks like a camera, and you just click it till it turns red. So hopefully at least you'll walk away with one thing today that you didn't know, and might make your life a little bit easier. Okay, and if anybody needs to jump in and ask questions, or somebody has a better way, feel free to do that today, because I probably don't have all the answers today. So I'm going to go ahead and present. So you should see my screen now. We'll start with just basic copying, how to copy stuff from somebody else's course. Hopefully you've all copied a course at this point. I think we maybe went through that on the first workshop anyway. But let's say you already have your course, but you're looking for, maybe it's an in-person class and you're teaching it online for the first time. So maybe you're looking for like somebody's exam that you could copy and take a look at. So let's say you have a course already and you just want to copy, say, an exam from somebody else's course. So I'll try to show you the best way to do that. Over here on the left, you're just going to click on this copy link under course items. So we can copy something. And let's say I want to copy from somebody else's course. Hopefully you've kind of seen this before. This will just give you a list of your courses. My groups, that'll be everybody at your college. And if you want to go to the whole district, you would go to other courses. So I'm just going to go to one of my courses, but it'll work the same way if you go to somebody else's. I'm just going to grab like a test from maybe one of my old classes. So just pick whatever class you want to copy. So if you're copying from somebody else, you should probably ask them first, hey, do you have something I can copy? And then that person will tell you which of their courses you should copy from. So hopefully based on what you get from the other individual, you'll know which class to select. And then you will click on select course items. And since I'm only copying one specific thing, I'm just going to select items to copy. And this is going to show you everything that that person has in the course. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to grab, say, exam 2. I don't want to write a test from scratch. I want to copy this one. I might make some changes to it, but at least I'll just copy one so I'm not starting from scratch. So let's say that's the only thing I want to copy. You're just going to click down here at the bottom under copy items. And as a default, it's going to send it to the bottom of your course. Okay, so here's the exam I just copied. It wasn't there before, but now it is. So this will check off another thing on my list. If you want to rearrange things in your course, over here on the right, you can use quick rearrange. And what quick rearrange does, this is now just drag and drop. So let's say I want to move exam 2. You can't click anywhere. You have to click on the little icon. If you click on the little icon, you can drag and drop this wherever you want. So I'm going to put mine right in here. And then remember to hit save. That's kind of a key. I always forget to hit save, and then it doesn't move anything. So once I hit save, hold on, I need to answer the doorbell. Once I hit save and I go back to instructor view, you can see that that exam is now between those two blocks where I placed it. And by the way, on quick rearrange, it kind of shows all your folders collapsed. If you click on the folder, that'll open it up and that'll show you everything that's in the folder. and you can reorder things within a folder as well. So the quick rearrange is a nice tool for reordering things that are in your class. Okay, and if you want to make sure it looks okay for students, you'll click on student mode and make sure that it looks okay. You'll notice exam 2 for me is I don't know, italicized, and this is kind of grayed out. That's because this is not currently available. So notice when I switch to student mode, it's not there. Okay, but if I did want to make that available, I'm just going to click on the little gear and go into the settings, and I can make that available now. So I can just make it due, I don't know, July or June 26th. Now it should show up if I save that. Okay, so now it's available. If I switch to student mode, it's there now. So you should always double check any changes you make in student mode to make sure that you made those changes right. Okay, but that's basically how you would copy anything from somebody else's course. That's probably the quickest way to do that. Okay. Okay, let's talk about assessment settings. I think maybe in the first workshop, we kind of went through and talked about some of the settings, so I don't know that I want to redo all of that. But just talking about how to change settings on an assessment, sort of a faster way. It kind of depends on if you want to change settings for a large group of assignments or just maybe one specific assignment. If you have a large chunk of assignments that you want to change, we would do that through the mass change. So again, that's over here on the left. Under mass change, you would click on assessments. And you're just going to check all of the assessments that you want these changes to apply to. So let's say I just want to change my homework settings. I would just go in here and like uncheck everything that's not homework. So there's some like tests in here. I'm going to uncheck those. Now I have all of my homeworks checked. I'm going to continue to change settings here at the bottom, or you can click on this tab here. There's kind of 2 ways to get there. Those do the same thing. Okay, and then you can go in here and change all of these settings. And at the bottom, once I hit apply changes, those settings will be applied to everything that was checked on the previous screen. Okay, I don't want to go through all the settings because I think we did that on the first workshop. But if anybody still has questions about settings, we can do that at the end when we switch over to Open Lab. Let me talk about another scenario. Let's say you already have your class set up and you already have all of your assignment settings set up. But let's say you're midway through the course and you decide to add another assignment. Okay, if we're going to add another assignment, so maybe they did really bad on, say, this homework assignment. Hold on, let me go here. So let's say they did really bad on homework 11, so I want to give them another assignment. So I'm going to add an assessment here, and I'm going to call this homework 11B, something like that. And again, once you make a new assessment, it's going to ask you to set all of these settings, and these are going to go back to the default settings. They're not going to go back to the settings that you've used in your class. But there's this option right here at the top, assessment options, copy options from. I'll just make those options the same as, homework 11. And then it'll change all of those for you, and you don't have to do that at all. Okay, so let me go back just to show you that again. So again, if I'm just adding an assignment after the fact, and I don't want to go through and set all of these settings, because chances are you might not even remember what you put for some of those. So you'd have to go back and look at one of your other assignments and make sure they match up. If you don't want to bother with that, that option is right here above the settings, and you're just going to copy the options from homework 11 and create assessment. And now that new assignment has all of the same settings that you put. If I could I can verify that now. Now all of these settings are the same as the rest of my homework assignments. Okay, so that's a handy tool right there, so you don't have to redo your settings from scratch if you add something later. Okay, does anybody have questions so far? While I check a couple things off my list here. Okay. I guess since we're kind of talking about that stuff, we can talk about due dates. And I may have shown you this before too, but there's a couple different ways to change due dates. If you're just changing the due dates for a couple of assignments, the easiest way to do that is to just go in through the calendar. So if I go up to the top and click on calendar, what you want to do is select drag and drop editing, and then it'll show you all of your assessments that you have due on various days. If I want to change those, it's just drag and drop. Okay. And all that does, that's not changing settings or the due time or anything like that. That's strictly just going to change the date from June 30th to July 1st. And then there isn't a button that says save. You have to click on disable drag and drop editing. That's like your save changes, basically. So you have to remember to click disable after you've changed those. Okay, so that's one way to change due dates. If you're changing a lot of due dates, like maybe you've copied your course over for the next semester and you need to go through and change all of the due dates, you're going to do that in the mass change. So under the mass change, I'm going to select dates. And then this is where you would go through and update all of those due dates over here. It's called an end date and more. They don't call it a due date. They call it an end date. But this is where you can change them all on one screen rather than going into every assignment and selecting a due date for every single assignment. We can do those all here on one page, and you can copy stuff down. If I want to use 11:59 p.m. for all of these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the box next to this assignment, and over here I can copy down the times. That didn't work, did it? Whoops.
You have to check the other boxes.
Copy down. Oh,
you have to check all the boxes that you want to copy.
Right. Okay. So I check the boxes I want to apply it to. Okay. So I can check all, and then if I make the time this one, that should work, right? There we go. So that's how I changed all the times to 11:59 p.m. Okay. Angela, do you want to tell me about time shift? Because I've never used it.
I was going to say, before you do that, so if I have a spring course or a last fall course and I'm copying the content over to the next semester, I'll start with time shift before I do any of those date changes or drag and drop. So what I do is I pick my first assignment is usually the syllabus quiz. It's usually due on the first Friday of the semester. So I'll base it off that first assignment. And then let's say it was spring, it was due like January 9th, right? So then I'll just pick, okay, I want that. It'll shift all of the intervals of time, if you will, right? So if the assignments were due every Friday, I'll pick one assignment and say shift that one to the first Friday of fall. And then it'll pull all of those assignment increments, the time increments into your fall semester, and then I drag and drop from there.
That is cool. Yeah, I've never
really time saving.
So you basically are setting the due date for your first assignment, and it adjusts everything else the same way.
According to how you had them spaced out in the previous semester. Yes.
Cool.
And then of course, if you're going fall to spring or spring to fall, you have, spring break and different holidays, but at least then I go to drag and drop, and then I only have to drag them by a few days or a week.
Right. So it's a good head start on what I did, basically.
That's what I would suggest you, if you're copying somebody's course, do a time shift first and then adjust their dates, either by the date, the mass change, or the drag and drop.
That's cool. Awesome. Thank you. Any other questions about changing dates and times and stuff?
Not that, but could you quickly show how you change that pink color of your agenda to something else?
Sure. So if I go into settings here, I'm going to choose modify. And then for the block colors, I do use custom. And if you go into the title background, I guess theoretically, there's infinitely many colors you could use, right? I don't know. Would this be infinitely many colors? I don't know. But yeah, I can just change it.
It's not infinite.
It's not? Okay, but it's a lot.
No, there's going to be a color range. You can also look up color codes online.
Yeah.
If you want to get a particular color and type it in.
So these codes are like a standardized kind of thing here? Like this? Really? Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I guess the point is it's more than what's in a box of crayons, I think.
In fact, can you go back into that modify one more time? We were
Sure.
talking about that in the chat, so I'll just reiterate a few things. Once you get it, if you scroll down, there's the title background you can change, but then if you choose a dark background, like maybe dark blue, you'll want to change the text, right? So you can click on the text and you can change the text to maybe a light text. There's also the background behind the assignments within the blocks, so you can play with those and save changes. Right, and then once you get it to where you want it, you can do a copy. So if you look at block colors, and you can click on the copy colors from this block. Yeah. So once you get one the way that you want it, you can copy it through quickly to the others.
Yeah, that's true, because the way I select my color, it's hard to get exactly the same color 2 times. But yeah, if you want blocks to have the same color, use the copy and make it the block that you want. Yeah, that's another good point.
There, I was asking those questions. Could you please show me how to make the item background? I know this. I've been playing and dragging that thing. How do I make it white in the back? The last block, that one. How do you make it white?
That's like right over here. There's white over here.
Okay, maybe I just wasn't. I was dragging too fast or something.
So like that.
Okay. Never mind.
So,
I was like dragging on, and I was like,
or there's a code for white.
Yeah, the color code for white would be all Fs, I think.
And where did you find
hashtag FFFFF?
6 of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam, where did you search to find those codes, please?
If you just search HTML color codes.
HTML.
I just put a link in the chat that brings you to a interactive where you can literally type in the codes, and it will work in real time.
You are awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, I had to change that back. I didn't like that.
It's hexadecimal if you're really into it, I guess. It's a hex color code.
Hexadecimal. Okay, cool.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about, do one of you want to talk about late passes? Because I don't really use late passes either. What's the easiest way to make adjustments to late passes?
Sure, I can help. If you want to drive by the presentation, I'll just do the voiceover for you. So the first thing I would suggest is when you're setting up your course, you can go into that course settings menu. So if you can click on that, Seth. When you set up your course under additional options, I believe. Yeah, so you can assign like a default if you want all students when they enter the course, they can have 10 late passes and how many hours those late passes are extended by. And then I always like to, if you scroll down a little bit more, I like to show late passes on the student gradebook page. So Seth has that checked right there.
Oh, right here.
So when you're setting up the course, you can give a default amount to your students and then show that to the students in the gradebook page. So that's the first way I would start. And then if you're managing their late passes through the semester, you can do that through the roster. So
roster's up here at the top.
Yep, and then right up at the top, there's manage late passes. And then you can see all the students at once, how many late passes they have. You can also adjust if you wanted to add more or change the time of their late passes, so you can do that. If you say, I want to add 3 late passes to all of these students, you can either choose the add or the replace. So there's the quickest way to do it as a whole class. Now, if you're working with just one student, you could go to that one roster student's name, and you can go by student as well, number of late passes, and adjust.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess one thing I'd add, at least this is a behavior I've seen with it, though I haven't used it as long as you guys have, so maybe you can expand on it. But the late pass system's a little different than I think most people would expect. Like you would think if my student didn't do it on time, they use a late pass and then they can work on it. But they have to, depending on how many hours the late pass is worth, and depending on how long they wait to get to the assignment, they may use multiple late passes to be able to open the assignment. So if they start it 3 days later and the late pass is worth 24 hours, they're going to use like 3, at least is what I've experienced.
So you can actually manage that within your assignment settings. So Seth, if you open an assignment and
Oh, okay.
yeah, maybe from your main page. And you can again do the mass change to all assignments to copy these settings, but it'll probably be under that additional, the time limit and access control most likely.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can allow the use of, and personally, I don't want students using multiple late passes on one assignment because they're getting further and further behind. So I limit them to 1 late pass per assignment. And then you can also choose to allow the late passes after the due date. So if I have a late pass that's, they can complete work up to 3 days after the due date, I'll click this box. And so, they missed the assignment on Monday, now it's Tuesday. They can still click on use late pass. They don't have to click on it before the due date. It's still there within that 3-day late pass period or 5-day late pass period. You can also, I haven't used the restrict by date, but there's an option to where Seth, will you click on that and then see? Okay, so you can, so that probably looks, again, I haven't used it, like you can't have extensions past final exam review week or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you set this, let's say for all of your homework assignments, you can do that mass copy assessments to all the other assignments in that category as well.
Okay, so but it's not possible to actually change that behavior. Like if you wanted to say set a late pass for 3 days, but you were willing to let them use more than one, like you really can't change that behavior, right? They're just going to have to use multiples.
I'm thinking I would change. So I'm thinking if you want them to only use 1 late pass, then what I would do is make the late pass for a longer period of time. So because the way the system works is it's always, the extension is always from the original due date. So if I set like a late pass for 5 days, it will only extend out for 5 days beyond the original due date. It's not from when they used it. It's just from from when it was due to when you're saying is the last possible time they're allowed to work on it. So I'm kind of getting, is that what the intended behavior you would want? Is that you just want you want, if they use the late pass, you want them to have 3 additional days, and it always costs them just 1 late pass to do so.
Well, I was really just more asking if that's possible. I see it is now. I kind of like allowing them to use multiples. So what I do is I have it set for 48 hours, and then I think and maybe I might even do 24, but I give them a bunch of late passes because I kind of like the value of them clicking on it and it saying like, oh, you've used 4 late passes to really get in their mindset, like, oh, I'm falling behind. But I wasn't sure if there's any way to change that behavior, but I see now you could do something like this. So if you don't put a limit on it, students could use up, a whole bunch of late passes to get into a very old assignment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good to know because that wouldn't be obvious that it does that. But that encourages them to not wait longer, I guess, as long as they know that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, as long as they know, because every once in a while I get a student who's shocked, like I used 5 of them. Like, yeah, because that was due a while ago.
Yeah. So let's talk about the other possibility. Maybe if you don't use, I don't use late passes personally because if a student needs more time, I like to have that conversation with them. I don't know if it's because I'm nosy or I just want to talk to my students because sometimes they don't like to talk to me. I don't use late passes. So if a student does need extra time, that's called an exception. So if you're giving an exception to one student, I think the easiest way is to just go into the grade book. So like it looks like this student did not do homework 1. They emailed me, said they were late getting home from work and they want an extra day on that. If you just click on their little lack of a score, or if they like got part of it done, click on their score. But anyway, if you click on that, you can choose make an exception. So all that means is you're going to change the due date for just that student. Okay. So now I can give him some extra time to do this one. You can deduct 10% or you can deduct a certain percent if you want, but I usually don't, but that's just up to you. If you are using late passes, you can choose to deduct a late pass for that, or several if they're days late. So you have a lot of options here to give an exception. But once I change that, now it shows that it shows the original due date and it shows that student's new due date. And if you look in the grade book now, you'll see that that student has an exception. It has a little E there. So even though he's got 0 done, he might have more time. Okay, and if you wanted to see what that was, you could just click on that. Now, let's say you have like a big chunk of students you want to give an exception. We don't necessarily want to go into every student and do what I just did. So the way we would do that is, I forget, I did this a few days ago. Is that in the grade book or is that?
On the grade book, you're going to want the students that you want to assign the exception to. So on the left, their name. And then above that title bar, there's the with selected drop down. Yes. Go down.
Oh, here?
No, one more down. With below that.
Oh, here. Okay.
Yep, right. Okay.
Yep, there it is.
And this is where you can do mass emails, mass messages, mass exceptions, and so forth.
Yeah, this is nice too, having it in the grade book, because let's say I want to send a motivational email to people that got less than 50% on the midterm. I can easily just check those students that got less than 50%. Adam, that's just you. But if I had a bunch, I would check all of those, and then I can send them either a MOER message or an email, and it'll send it to just those students. If I do message, this will just send them a message in MOER. It'll remind you who's getting this message, and you can type the message and it'll send it to multiple students at once. You can do the same thing for email. Sometimes they don't type in their email address correctly when they enroll, but you'll have to cross that bridge when you get there. I usually use MOER messages because they get a notification when they have a message. So they
can
might,
I interrupt a second?
Yeah, sure.
I like to use in the messages, I like to do the first name because it looks like it's coming specifically to that student, and they get that personal feeling, which is nice.
So how do you want to tell me how do you do that?
Sure. Okay, say pick Adam and Jeff and everybody and send them a message. So in your message where you're going to send it, you just type the first name, see it bold down underneath?
Cool. So if I type first name, it'll have their name on it.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Then it'll fill in that message with their name.
You need to do better.
Right.
Sincerely, Seth.
That is case sensitive. So if you type, lowercase or put a space between first name, you are literally sending first name.
First name, that's right.
So don't do that
before, and I felt horrible. So
me too.
No, that is a cool feature, and I did not know about that too. So it's a good thing we're doing these workshops. Yeah. So then every student that gets this message, it'll have their name. That's cool.
Yes.
Awesome.
Can I mention something about that too?
Yes.
I noticed I've sent notifications to students who haven't started. Let's say they've got an online test and it's due that night at midnight, and I want to send them a, hey, heads up, don't forget to start this thing. If you scroll down to the bottom here, you can send it to people says that haven't started whatever assignment. So you can just click literally on, hey, send it on to all the students who haven't started this test yet. And then you don't have to click on each individual student. You can do select all, and it'll only send it to the ones who haven't started.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just make sure that you have eliminated the ones that are locked, because it will also send it to those students as well. So.
Yep, that's a cool feature too. Yeah. So if you want to send out a reminder, but you don't want to send it to the students that have already done it, then that's a good feature there. Looks like you can also do the ones that haven't finished an assignment as well. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to sort of send mass messages, and all of those have the option of sending them an email to whatever email they put when they enrolled in the class. Some people might require them to put their college email, but it's hard to get them to do that sometimes. I usually just opt for the MOER messages because they get notified of those, and they might not be good at checking their email. But you have both of those options.
Seth, one more thing about messages versus email. When you send MOER message to your students, it is saved in your sent files within MOER. So if you go to your messages or communication, messages, It's
Yeah.
saved as a sent message. When you send an email, there is no copy saved to you in MOER.
That's a
You
good
have to email it to yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Also, when you send a message, we can't show you because it's not a live course, but it'll say that the student has read the message or opened the message, and there's a yes, no. So you can see if they're opening your messages. So I really like to send a message. There's just more tracking features on it.
Yeah. So here's my sent messages, and you can see if they've read that. But I'm going to get off that so you don't read my students' names real quick. All right. So yes, you can see if they've read it. So if they say, "Oh, I didn't get your message," you can say, "Well, this shows that you did read my message." And then they're like, "Oh, okay." Anywho. Okay, so that was good. I did that. I think I have one more thing on my list here. Let me just make sure. One other thing I wanted to talk about was some grading type things. If you have an assignment that says, let's say it has an essay question, there are a few different types of problems in MOER that aren't automatically graded. There's essay questions, there's freehand drawing questions if you want to have them draw something or graph something. Those are some that you would have to grade yourself. And you don't have to go into each student's assignment to grade that one question. You can actually do those all at once. So let me go into, I think this midterm exam I put some. So let's say you give them an exam or an assignment and it has some sort of essay question that you need to grade. I'm going to click on where it says isolate here in the grade book below the assignment heading. And then what we want to do, oh, this was an offline. Let me go to a different one. Sorry. Let me go to this one. And then you want to go to view item analysis. And then anything that had something that has to be graded, it'll be highlighted here where it says grade. It'll be highlighted in yellow. I thought I had one on there. I guess I didn't. I think I have one assignment in here where I have some stuff like that. It must be this one. So again, I'm going to click on isolate and I'm going to go to view item analysis. Yeah, here's some. So any problem that has some stuff that you have to grade, it should be highlighted. I will say I've seen a couple times where it wasn't highlighted, so maybe check a little more carefully for that. But usually those are highlighted. And if I click on grade, this pulls up just that problem for every student. So I can just go through and do the whole class all at one time rather than going into each student's assignment and doing it student by student. So this is a lot quicker way to do that. You can even hide, if people didn't do this question, you can go ahead and take them off of this list to make it shorter. And you can just go through and give them their points. So I can just do full credit here. You can leave them feedback. Good job or something. And then I can go down to the next student. I can give him full credit. I can say good job. And this person, I could give him half credit maybe. And so I can give him like 3. And I can say, this is okay, but, or something like that. I can give them all feedback. And I can do that for all the students in my class. I save that. And now all their scores are updated. And they can see the feedback you left them when they look at their score in the grade book. So that's a quick, efficient way to give feedback if you have some sort of assessment that has items that aren't automatically graded. Okay. And I think that's all I had on my list. Does anybody, Angie or David, is there anything else I should?
Can I ask a quick question about that grading you just did?
Sure.
Will that work if it's an assignment? Because I have an assignment where the students have to upload a notepad.
Yes.
And manually grade it. Will it see the attack page when I have to isolate?
You're breaking up, so I didn't hear your whole question. But yeah, you would do the same thing, but I don't think it's not going to like open up all their files. You'd still have to click on their file, each one. But you could at least, you could bring that one up on the screen and it'll have every student's file here, but you'd have to click and open it, I think.
Thank you.
But then you could give them their feedback once you've looked at their file here. Because yeah, I've done that. I've done that too, and I've opened their file, I've looked at it, and then I've given them their feedback in the feedback box. So yeah, that would work for something like that as well.
I have a few more, I can call them time saver hacks that I use. I don't know if it really applies to anybody else, but I like to, instead of typing out all of my students' name, let's say in an Excel spreadsheet or for a Word document, I think from roster or gradebook, you can export. And then you can export, you know, a CSV, and then it's just nice because it produces a quick spreadsheet of their names and their logins. I don't necessarily use it. If you want to export and keep a copy of their grades, you could do that as well. And then you could change what you want on that Excel sheet. So that's something I use at the beginning of the semester if I'm going to create a spreadsheet or want to track information all at once. I'll just go through a couple more points and then I'll give the floor over to somebody else. One other thing on my list was I like to see the last date that they logged in within the gradebook. So if you go to the gradebook and you go to your, you have it already, but to turn that on, you would go to settings and then edit view settings right above that matrix. And then you can choose under include details, those checkboxes, if you want your sections, but I like that last login column because I can also quickly sort by who has not been in the last week, so I can reach out to them. And then again, if you go to the grade book, you see their name, their last login, and then their scores to see, you know, kind of who's dropped off or who's participating.
Yeah, so again, you can sort this last login and you can check some of their names that haven't logged in, and you could do that message. We could send them a message. Yeah, and that's right here. Yep, cool.
And then the last thing that I use often is in that quick arrange view. I know you mentioned it earlier. I wasn't sure.
Oh, quick rearrange, yeah.
Yeah, on quick arrange. Did you mention how you can quickly move the blocks and put them within blocks and not? So you can drag and drop. Yes. So you can quickly drag and drop the order of your page, especially if you import or like copy, I call it import. If you copy a block or copy content from another course, it automatically puts it at the bottom of the home page. And then I go to quick arrange and I just drag and drop to where I want it to be positioned in the page, even if that's within another block. So that one's time consuming when you're not doing that. When you're done, you want to click save changes. I do it all the time, drag and drop, and then click instructor view, and then it's not there. So you want to click save changes. And then one more thing, you can also rename and delete items on this quick arrange. So yes, if you click,
if you just click on the name, you can rename.
And every time you kind of do something differently, you have to click that save to get all of your options again. So if you click save, why are you not seeing the delete?
Yeah, I don't, how do we delete? I forget.
So did you already click save? There
oh, here it is, yep.
So you can modify the block here, you can copy it and then delete
make another. Yeah.
It's almost like when you try to rename it though, all of those options go away until you save. But I use quick arrange all the time.
Yeah, and if I just want to make another copy of something, I can copy it, and then I can rename this one.
Yes.
Math Lounge 2 or something like that.
Yes. And then and then you can delete or drag and drop again.
Yep. Cool. Thank you. Does anybody else have efficiency tips?
I was actually just going to back up a question, if possible. I don't know if I understood. Was the question about using the file upload in a way to see all the files quickly? Was that what the question was?
I think so, but she broke up.
So if you notice if you go into any assignment now, there is a new button at the top that does say preview all files.
No, I just wanted to, what I've been doing is going in the grade book and actually clicking on the assignment, opening it, to, because I can tell that they've uploaded something, and then I'll see if they uploaded it, and then I type in just their feedback and give them full credit. So I liked that page where it scrolled through where I can do full credit and type in feedback for every single person. I was just curious, if I was in that page, would I see the file, like a link that they had uploaded a file that I can click on and view?
Yes. So
Yeah.
like if Seth, you got it?
Yeah, the answer was yes. Yeah. But what were you were talking about something different, David.
Oh, so like if you're using, like I just started using this semester the file type where the problem type where it's literally a file upload.
Uh-huh.
And there's a new button at the top. You can go into any assignment, whether it has it or not. It'd be
I have one. Here it is. I have one.
And at the very top, there will be a single button now that says preview all files.
Oh, really? Yeah, here. Okay.
And that will, so it will just let you, so you can scroll down through the page and you can do every single student, at one shot, and they'll all be visible.
Cool. So you don't even have to upload their file. That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm done.
I should
I'm
have
out.
uploaded a file so we could see that in action, but that's cool. I never noticed that before. Cool.
And I did notice it's doing some cool stuff now with like PDFs where it's actually embedding them. So you get like a single image and then you can scroll through and see it all. And it's doing some neat stuff it didn't used to do.
Cool. Awesome. So that's even better.
I love it. MOER allows us to do so much more, than any other program, than my math lab, than any of those. It's pretty great.
Do you have
I
a
guess I
minute
could show. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask if you have a minute to quickly show how a student uploads something, or was that in the very first workshop that you did?
To show how a student would up something, I can log out and log in as a student.
Oh, it's okay. Was that in the first workshop? I can go watch the recording.
No, not necessarily, but I can show you, I guess I can show you what it looks like because I have an assignment that has that question in there. Oh, here we go. So let me go to this assignment. Now let me just open it.
And actually, Seth, if you, do you have the show work?
Here's what it'll look like on the student's homework. So you just add this problem to the homework, and then the student will just click on this and choose their file and submit it.
Okay, so they're uploading a file. It would be like on each question they would upload a file. So if I wanted them to show their work on every question, they're going to have to upload a file for each question?
Yes, or we have a show work problem type. But that's basically similar. They'd still have to upload it for that, right? David, did you want to talk about a show work problem type?
Yeah, if do you want to go and enable show work for this assignment so they can see what that setting would look like?
Yeah. Do you remind me how to do that, or if you want to present? If you
just go into settings, just go into the settings for any assignment you want to go into.
Okay. Oh yeah, that was an assignment setting. Okay. Whoops, wrong thing. Hang on. Oh, this will work. And then where do I go?
A little further. It's under the additional display options, I believe.
Oh, okay. Provide show work.
And the neat settings there, you can have it so it's available to show work only when the assessment is available for them to do. You can have it so it's only available after the assessment is done. So think like during a test, and then after the test is done, now they have to upload their pictures, or anytime. So if I choose the after, then does it give them a certain amount of time? That's the request that's going around right now on My Open Math, is to be able to put a lockdown on that, because right now it is open. Like it is, there is no, for the rest of the course, they can upload a picture if they want to.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you change that to during and after, just so we know we can get into it. And then which assessment was this one? Let's make sure we remember.
Yeah, it was my homework assignment. So let's see what that looks like now. So here's the add work button. So they have the option of like typing their work, which is going to be hard for a lot of them, or it's got the file upload, what, here? They just attach their picture.
Right. So they can either attach a picture, they can embed a picture with the little picture icon. So you can kind of work with everything. The main issue I've run into with this so far is it does not recognize Apple's new file format. Whatever it is, it's not JPEG. So the students either have to make it so their phone saves it as a JPEG, or they just attach it as a file. Betsy, is that kind of what you had in mind for uploading?
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think for a time test, that's going to be hard having that on every single problem. I think it might be better to just have them submit their work for the whole thing at the end, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably more what I was thinking of, but instead of having them submit it in Canvas, I was wanting them to submit it in MOER.
Yeah. So it looks like there's a couple of ways you can do that.
This is I literally just did this with my online course. This is I had that. What I did, I tried the first time having it do it this way, and I was not a huge fan. It worked okay, but what I decided to do, like you said, Betsy, is I created a separate assignment, just one assignment that was for uploading your test work.
Yep.
And then it had the one problem where they would just upload either all their pictures in the ad work or upload the file just like of a PDF or something they had scanned. I gave them the option. Yeah. And that's how I went about it. And
I've done the same thing.
So you made it a separate assignment instead of like the very last question on the assessment?
Yeah.
And the reason I did that, because it addressed Seth's concern, was I wanted them to only have 30 minutes from when they've completed the test. And it didn't quite do that, but what I was able to do was put a time restriction on that assignment itself. Yeah. So they would open it up and a 30-minute timer would start running, and they would have 30 minutes to upload their pictures. And then once it would shut itself down. And so I knew they couldn't go back and alter forever after the assignment was due.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, like I've had, like if this is due like a 2-hour test due at 10, then I'll have an assignment right below it that says work submission for test 1, and it's due like an hour later. So I've done that too, just because I didn't want that to take up their time on the test, because for some students, attaching their work is like really easy, and for some students it's like really hard, and I didn't want to penalize those students by giving them less time to do the math. So I've kind of done the same thing. Cool. Anything else anybody can share that's efficiency related? I know I've learned a couple things that's going to make my life easier if I can remember them later. I'll have to watch the video later, probably. And if anybody has any other, we've got like 10 more minutes. If you have any other questions about anything, feel free to jump in.
If no one else has any questions, are we going to be talking about the forum and the lounge later?
I can talk about it now. Did you want to?
Okay.
Well, I like using forums a lot, and the way I use the forums when I make a homework assignment, if you'll notice on my homework assignment, I have the link. What I do is I disable the message instructor link, and I force them to post their questions on the forum. That way I'm not getting a bunch of messages about the same homework problem. I can kind of answer the question one time. And it also gives students an opportunity to help each other out. And I give little points for that if they want to do my job for me. If they help a student with a problem before I get onto it, I give them points for that. But what this will do, if a student has trouble on this problem, they can post it to the forum. And the nice thing is it actually copies the problem there, because I don't know how many of you get emails saying, I don't know how to do number 3. And then you're like, well, okay, what's number 3? Like what homework are you talking about? So it's really cool. It puts that on there for them. and then they can type their question here. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how, whatever. And then that goes into the forum. And the forum, and this is nice too, because you can use like the math editor to write stuff in the forum. You can even add graphs. So I might respond and say, look at the graph. I can add the graph right there in my post. I think I showed an example here in my fake forum here. So here's like a forum post that I made, and you can do all of this in a forum post. So you can really help students very nicely in the forum, because you can actually type stuff out in a way that they can read and include graphs and stuff. So I really like using the forums. To set up a forum is really easy. You just use this add an item and you add a forum. So I'll call this forum 2. And then if you want to give them instructions, like this is a forum you can use to talk about stuff you read in the textbook or something. I don't know. Or maybe this is the introduction forum for your online class. You could do group forums. So to do that, you have to put your students in separate groups first. So if you're doing a group assignment, you might set up a group forum for them. That way they can just talk to each other and not the class as a whole. You can decide what you want them to be able to do. There's even a like feature, so students can give a thumbs up to posts that they like. You can make them post themselves before they see everybody else's, if that's something you want to do. What else was I going to say? And you can, where's the grading? You can make it a graded forum as well. Now I don't see that. That must be somewhere else I do that. Or maybe you can't. I don't remember. Can't you give? Yeah, you can give them points in the. I guess that's automatic. Is you can give them points in the forum. So if I grade this forum and then somebody posts in it, if I go to the student's post, it gives you the option to give them points for it if you want. I don't know if I can show you that here. If I reply to a post, usually it gives me the option to give. Does anybody know what I'm missing here? Usually it gives me the option to give points if I wanted to.
Well, I saw a thing down there on the other screen where you could count it in the grade book.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I didn't see it. Where is that? Oh, here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If I select count in the grade book, then it'll give me the option to assign points on posts and stuff like that. And I can put it in one of my, if I want to put it in the homework category, or maybe you have a separate category for discussions and stuff like that. You can even give them an automatic. You can call it whatever you want.
So forum and Math Lounge are the same thing?
Yeah, Math Lounge is just a nickname we gave to a forum, but you can call it whatever you want. You can call it discussion board. You can call it homework forum. I mean, that's just right here. You name it, whatever you want. But that's what the Math Lounge is. That's just my homework forum. But yeah, it looks like you can even do things like the first person that posts, you can give them automatic points or something like that, or the first person that replies to somebody. So there's a lot of options here with the forums as well. But yeah, creating a new forum is very quick and easy to do.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions I can answer for you today, or we can answer for you?
Seth, I just posted the link to your attendance and feedback form if you want to mention that.
Yeah, before you leave, if you could take like 1 minute to click on that link. It just takes attendance, and it gives you an opportunity if you want to give feedback or suggestions. Fill that out before you go. It's in the chat box on your Google chat. Anything else?
The last 2 workshops that are coming up, you guys can find on the MCLI worksheet calendar. But we'll also send out the announcement that has the recording of the previous workshops, including this one, and then the links and explanations for the next couple workshops. The next one's on July 10th. It's on how to integrate MOER with Canvas. And then on July 24th, our title is Make Your Assignments Your Own. I don't remember off the top of my head what that one was about, but So 2 more workshops this summer.
Yeah, I think we'll focus on how to take an assignment you've copied from somebody else, how to look through the questions and change some of them if you want, how to find new questions to add, maybe some real basic editing if you want to get into that. So that's kind of what we'll talk about in that one. But our next one is one about Canvas, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And I would also suggest, and how to ask Adam to change problems for you.
Yeah.
Should you? Yeah. That's because we got an expert that we can use.
Yeah, and request new questions if you want something that you can't find.
Yes. So that'll be the 5th workshop, July 24th, I think. And then, yeah, in 2 weeks, we're talking about the Canvas integration. Or not in 2 weeks, July 10th, I think. Yeah, so July 10th, we're going to talk about the Canvas integration. And then I think July 24th will be our last one for the summer. All right, well, I appreciate everybody. Coming in. To upload test work, you just have to, it's actually a question you add to an assignment. It's a file upload question. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
There are a few different ones, but a real basic one. Hang on. Let me see if I can find one. I need to go to an assignment here.
Just so you know, you're not sharing your screen anymore.
Yeah, I know I'm not sharing my screen anymore. So a basic file upload question. Let's see. Some of these are in a table, so I don't want to recommend that one because it might have accessibility issues. Oh, here's my, okay. So question ID 67634 is just a very basic file upload question. So 67634 is the question ID. You would just add that question to a homework assignment. Or you can make a separate assignment like we talked about and just have that one problem in the assignment. But question 67634 is an example of just a basic file upload problem.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All right. Well, I'll wait in case somebody else has something, but feel free to sign off if you're good.
Hey, thanks,
Thanks,
Seth.
everyone.
Great job.
Thanks.
David, are you good to edit the recording and update that announcement again, or do you need help?
I'm on it. I got it. I'll try to get it edited and posted tonight, so it'll be out tomorrow.
Okay, and you're going to send it to the steering team again?
Of course. Yeah, and I'll update the Google Doc so the link is gone, but the recording link is in. Yeah, all that good stuff.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
I like when I end my classes in the morning and like I'll sit here and wait till they're all gone in case some of them want to ask me something privately. But like I don't know if they've like already left and just stayed logged in for attendance purposes. Some of them I think log in and kind of ghost me. So I never know long. I hate to hang up when there's still students logged in, but I'm pretty sure they're not even there anymore. So it's like, oh,
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
My question is, how did these people get the little circles with their face on them instead of just a circle with a letter on it or whatever if they don't want to show their whole background in their house?
That's just your Google settings. So like if you're in your Gmail and like up in the top right-hand corner, like the very top right-hand corner, you can manage your Google account.
Yeah.
And you can add you can upload a picture there.
Well, I have a picture of me in there, but when I do this, it doesn't show it. It just shows a blank black screen, I think. Let me test it right quick.
Yeah, turn off your camera. No, your picture's there. I see your picture. Yeah,
okay.
You're good.
All right. See, I can't see it. It just shows a black screen to me.
Right.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
Okay, as usual, I learned more than I knew.
That's why we call it MOER, Mariana.
I know. I love it. I hate that we're going to end up going to mom eventually.
Yeah. Well, ours will still be called MOER.
It will?
Yeah.
Even though we're going to be part of MOM instead?
I think that's more about hosting, right? But we'll still keep the name MOER. Ours will still be separate from the rest of the crowd.
Okay, so everything that we have will go with us.
Yes. Yeah.
Plus, we'll have access to theirs.
Well, I think David has talked about eventually integrating all the libraries, but that won't be a right away thing. No.
Oh, because I'm looking for a really good geometry course that's very thorough, and I'm not finding anything. I'm tutoring some girls this summer, and
so yeah, Angela has cracked the code. If you go through and find a high school teacher that is using MOM, you can find a high school geometry honors course.
That's what I want.
They tend to be the honors teachers tend to have to supplement and do more.
Yeah.
So she found like a pre-calculus course, and she's like, everybody's pre-calculus courses are like the same. It all has the same problem sets. They may have changed this or that. She found a pre-calculus high school honors course. She's like, it is so robust. It has so much more in it. She just found it a couple days ago.
Angela how she got that and if I can get it.
Yeah. Well, that one's pre-calculus. So you might have to, she might have a technique though for how she found.
Well, I can just do pick and choose.
Yeah. But
is Angela Cristiano the daughter of Marilyn Cristiano at PV?
No.
No? She looks a little like her. I wondered. Okay.
That's funny. No, because I asked her the same thing. I'm like, are you guys related at all? And she's like, no. I'm like,
no. Well,
I knew it was my daughter who had met her mom, but I just was wondering if there was like a familial. So, and no.
Huh. Okay. All right. I'll ask Angela if she'll share that course with me. That'd be great.
Sure. Oh, yeah, she'll absolutely will. Just
I'm sure she will. Thank you. I'm out of here. You guys can go now.
Yeah, I think I'm going to hang up too. Bye.
Oh, bye.
All right, bye. I'll get the recording out. Thanks, Seth.
Okay. Bye.
Oh, just never mind.